Hey guys, this is Chris and Kevin. So, we've noticed that there's been a lot of theories and a lot of talk about what the current state of cryptocurrency is and essentially where the whole thing is headed. Is it doomed for failure or is it going to boom and is it going to be this massive, widely used technology that's really going to disrupt the future and kind of become the blocks of tomorrow, if you will. So, I think we can draw a lot of parallels to the rise of the internet and what happened back then at the end of the 90s, early 2000s. And essentially, in those times, we had this market curve, if you will. So we really had this cycle that happened. And it was driven by this initial wave of hype and enthusiasm. And, you saw websites and the usage of the internet pop up in a lot of different places. And a lot of people didn't even know how the heck to use it or what any of it really meant. And then it plateaued. You saw this point at which kind of the hype and the enthusiasm had gotten up to unrealistic points. The technology just wasn't able to keep up with what was happening within the market. And you saw this kind of fade, if you will, this market fade. And then, from that market fade, it really led into some interesting opportunities and really kind of drove what finally then became the mass adoption of the internet and what we all know of it as today. But it went through a lot of hardship and a lot of kind of innovation and cycles to get to that point. And I think we're seeing the same thing happen in cryptocurrency. And it's going to take a couple cycles. And it's going to take a lot of hard work from the people who are really, from the engineers and the innovators in the space. But I think they're going to get there. And it's going to be a matter of time. But eventually, we feel like it's going to happen. And we don't want you to take this as market advice or investing or financial advice. We just want to comment on the technology. We want to comment on where we see the space in general headed. So again, don't take this as financial advice, but just understand that it's the technology that we are commenting on and where we see it going.
Yeah, and that tool that Chris talked about, the market curve, is an interesting way to draw some parallels. And there are really three things that it takes in order for mass adoption to occur for any new technology or any new market. The first of that being a need for the underlying technologies. And the first thing that we can look at is blockchain being the biggest solution to some problems that we're facing right now.
Yeah. So blockchain is this way. It's basically an immutable, hard to corrupt ledger. Or think of it as a database, essentially. And, right now we have systems where there's these databases floating around, and not necessarily floating around, but databases behind websites or web services or apps that you use. And, you see a lot of times in the news, it's been hacked, it's been hacked, it's been hacked. And this is a huge problem with your data because a lot of times, if you think about social media, it's your personal data that's sitting out there on these databases. And you don't want your personal data to be shared with the entire world. So blockchain really creates a way for that to be a little bit more private, a little bit more secure. And it's a huge need within the market right now.
Yeah, and the next part that makes it go to the next step is decentralized systems and what those have to offer. And there's 3 points that we picked out for that. Systems without a single point of failure.
Right. Yeah. So right now, you have when you think about the internet, we've seen at times Amazon Web Services. It's a new technology that a lot of websites are built on top of, and a lot of applications are built on top of. And we've seen a couple of times where Amazon Web Services, as a whole, has gone down. And that causes websites and applications all across the internet to stop working. That's not ideal. You don't want that. So by having decentralized systems, you essentially nearly guarantee 100% uptime. And this is huge because you could have single points of failure. So if you have a decentralized system where thousands of nodes are running your code in your application, you could have single points of failure and be able to recover from that. Because essentially what happens is those nodes fail, but there's so many other nodes that are still working that your app keeps chugging along. So if there is a regional wide internet outage on the East Coast, that's fine because there's more than likely people running your application on the West Coast, in Europe, in Asia, wherever it may be, and they are unaffected by whatever's happening on the East Coast of the United States.
Right. And the next point we have is it promotes privacy. So decentralized systems take a huge problem that we face with our current financial systems. I mean, when you see credit reporting systems getting hacked and people's information is gone, holding all that information in one spot is very dangerous at times. It seems like it might be beneficial, but at times it gets wrecked. People's information gets stolen. And so privacy is a really big part of where people are looking for something new to come across.
Exactly.
And so having a decentralized system is going to open that up. You see a lot of different apps that are going to go after that. And some of the videos we've already made have talked about different platforms that are trying to solve that particular piece. And the third piece that we want to cover for the decentralized systems, why those are important, is that it offers a balanced power across the system.
Right. Yeah, so no one user essentially can have too much power. And that's the whole kind of proof of work, if you will, or proof of stake, where you essentially have only so much power in your hands as a node, and it would take a massive investment in order for you to overtake the network. So again, it's not that it can't happen, it's just very hard for it to happen, and many times it's economically not even viable for you to take over a system. So that's the biggest thing with decentralized systems.
So now that we found a whole bunch of different needs for that underlying technology, the second pivotal piece of making this system massively adopted is offering a variety of apps that promote the usage of the entire system.
Yeah. So there's many different ways that cryptocurrency is kind of used or categorized now. The biggest one that a lot of people know about is currency usage, hence the name cryptocurrency. And with that, there's many different things that you can look at in terms of where will cryptocurrency usage, where will the currency usage of cryptocurrency end up? And I think this is something that a lot of people are very confused on and don't know for sure where it's going to happen. When you look at Western countries and countries that have a little bit more sophisticated banking structure, it's not as clear of a use case for currencies. The reason for that is because we have a perfectly working system right now. Our fiat money is pretty much accepted everywhere. It works well. We have a great banking system that's very trustworthy, things of that nature. But if you look at places like some regions of Africa, or even some parts of South America, Central America, where banking systems are not as fleshed out, they're not as available to as many people, and many people are literally unbanked, that's where the currency usage aspect really flourishes and comes into play, because they don't have a trustable fiat currency or a trustable bank that they can go to. So instead, they use cryptocurrencies, because cryptocurrencies solve a ton of problems when it comes to currency, and they use that as their means for paying for goods and services, essentially. So it would be naive to think that it couldn't happen in your own country. We're not predicting that. We don't know for sure if that would ever happen, but Murphy's Law says that basically you never know what can happen. So just understand that the currency usage could become, a big part of what happens in your country one day, You never know for sure, but we are seeing it in regions of the world already where the currency usage is through the roof.
Yeah, and another form of promoting the usage is by offering platforms that use the technology.
Yeah, yeah. So platforms like Ethereum or Neo or the upcoming Zilliqa, they essentially make it so that way developers of decentralized applications can get up and running quickly. They don't have to create their own blockchain. They can use the blockchain that's already been created for them on these platforms such as Ethereum and Neo and Zilliqa, and they end up using the tokens of those systems to then run their underlying application. So this is just a quick way, or a quicker way rather, for developers to get their decentralized applications in the hands of users, so that way the end users can essentially realize the benefits of decentralized apps.
Yeah, and the last part that really makes up the mass adoption piece is major companies or innovators or pioneers in tech advertising and pushing this technology. And we talked a little bit earlier about how when the internet started out, it had its ups and downs. And one of the times that it took that liftoff phase was when YouTube, Facebook, and Amazon all stepped in to create a whole new economy using the internet for content creation, for making purchases, for offering people reasons to use the internet.
Right.
And we're starting to see some of that now with these different cryptocurrencies, ICOs, technologies that are using the system of decentralization. And so it's exciting to see how those kind of parallel themselves together and gives credence to why we might need cryptocurrency moving forward.
Right. Yeah, we've made some videos before talking about some of the new platforms that are essentially looking to make things easier for the end user and really move the space as a whole forward. We've seen it time and time again. You can look at Apple in the mobile phone space. They really took the mobile phone to the next level and really mass marketed the thing. And whether you're an Apple a believer or user, lover or not, it was really them who took it to the next level. Yeah, so we think the future is bright for cryptocurrency in general and the underlying technologies. We hope that you guys do as well. Be sure to like and subscribe and watch our other videos. Thanks again.